Well, I'll be damned. Someone finally knocks. Come on in. Door's open.
Hey, Lefty, I know it's been a while, but I just wanted to stop by and wish you a happy heart. Whoa! What happened to you?
What do you mean? Do I have something in my teeth again?
Human! You're human now! When did that happen?
Oh, that. Well, last year I wanted to do a review of a Gravity Falls episode, but I felt that I should do it properly and not in pony form. You know, like Silverquill has an EQG form for whenever he reviews EQG, and after consulting some ancient book I found in a pawn shop, I turn into this whenever I want to review something that isn't Friendship is Magic. Plus, if I ever want to yell at NASCAR for doing something stupid, I didn't think they'd take a 3.5-foot tall pony seriously. What do you think?
Looks good. Maybe I should borrow that book. Maybe it'll help me get back to reviewing stuff.
Just be forewarned. Using it comes at a terrible price. Money.
That's bad.
But you get unlimited transformations whenever you feel like it.
That's good.
Anyway, the reason I'm like this is it's the holidays, and since I've reviewed every Hearthswarming episode aside from the 44-minute special from Friendship is Magic, I wanted to tackle Equestria Girls' take on the holiday season. Since you're here, you want to join in?
Yeah, sure. Wait, didn't you and some of the others in the Void do a review of that Hearthswarming special a while back? I think I remember Batty muttering something about that.
Ah, yeah. That was a fun idea we had once.
Yeah. So anyway, you want to get this thing started?
Yep, let's go. So, one of the more interesting aspects, to me at least, is how this 44-minute special has no overarching narrative. It's just a handful of shorts spliced together to make a 44-minute special.
Which makes it all the more interesting that this ended up being the last piece of Equestria Girls media.
Yeah, that honestly caught me off guard, especially since this kind of came out of nowhere. The advertising for it was almost non-existent until it was leaked from another country, and before then, I had assumed Sunset's Backstage Pass was the finale.
A problem Hasbro is still dealing with, I can tell you as a Transformers fan. But anyway, this special starts off with the girls all sleeping together. I feel I should rephrase that.
Don't worry, Pat took care of things last time when we reviewed the sleepover scene in Rainbow Rocks.
Well, that makes me feel better. So anyway, the reason they're all sleeping together in... Wait, whose house is this supposed to be?
I wanna say maybe SciTwi's? I mean, there is a portrait of Spike on the wall.
Oh, right. Didn't notice that. Well, that would explain why she said this is her first study sleepover. They got together to pull an all-nighter. And you know how those usually go?
Yeah, cramming never works, especially if you try to go through it all night long. However, I can see why they wanted to give this idea a shot. Having multiple people to bounce notes and information off of could potentially help things stick better.
Well, it did help one of them come up with an idea.
Come on! It's snowing! Snow day means no school means no test!
I'm not saying it's a great idea, but it's an idea.
True, and I love how literal SciTwi takes Rainbow's criticism of her friend's lacking vision when hinting at the possibility of a snow day.
I've got 20/20 vision, and I can clearly see it's not snowing enough for school to be cancelled.
Except if she really had 20/20 vision, she wouldn't need the glasses.
Good point, though she might have it if she's wearing her glasses. But speaking of them falling asleep, just remember what Rarity says when she notices the time on SciTwi's alarm clock. That's going to be important later.
Okay, see, this bugs me, because I remember having to be to school by 8 a.m. Did that change since I graduated high school?
Well, I've been out of high school for 8 years, but I remember classes starting at 7:45.
Yeah, that's right. I definitely remember being there before 8 a.m. It's just frustrating. Anyway, Rainbow Dash's brilliant plan is to have them fake a snow day.
That was every kid's dream to help fake a snow day. Trust me, being an Alaskan, it takes a lot to have snow cancel school.
Oh, I'm sure. But you know what this really calls for? A crazy plan montage!
Well, don't forget to tell Pinkie that.
Can't believe I almost left her a montage!
Ah, never mind.
Speaking of Pinkie, her part in this plan involves peeling potatoes for some reason. get to the school. I need a very detailed explanation for how it got there.
Perhaps he carpooled, or taught himself how to ride a bike. Or maybe he took... What's that mode of transportation that has an engineer at the front? You know, it helps settle the West, has a loud horny thing, runs on coal. What's it called again?
Yeah, the choo-choo machine.
Well, we didn't see him get there, so that means this short is an automatic failure, right? Isn't that how it works now?
From what I've heard, yes. Alright, on a more serious note, this is a really good montage, and I love how it displays everyone's abilities.
Yeah, I like the fight between Pinkie and the raccoon, AJ lifting up probably a literal ton of ice over to the school, SciTwi trying to get in a little extra studying by the looks of it, and Rarity's knitting. At least there's a plot reason for her main Equestria Girls character trait this time.
Hey, that is the most important part. You need to keep yourself warm in the winter months.
Very true. Regardless, I love that Pinkie uses her sprinkle bombs to quickly mash the potatoes while fending off the raccoon. Just imagine how quickly dinner can be done if you could easily just blow up your food.
Sounds like it could get messy to me. I do like how they worked in Sunset's painting skills for this. Plus, she predicted a plot point in Frozen 2.
It remembers.
While that is pretty incredible, I can only imagine how she can see some uncomfortable things from other objects she accidentally touches. Like, imagine she touches a wooden handrail somewhere and she sees a violent montage of a lumberjack cutting down a tree from the tree's perspective. Almost sounds like a Robot Chicken sketch in the making.
Oh, there's a whole realm of possibilities we shouldn't go into with that line of thought.
Yeah, you're right. Anyway, we finally see what the potatoes are for, and it's pretty ingenious. Fun fact, using potatoes for snow is an old Hollywood trick. For instance, the snow around the outside of the house in Home Alone is actually shredded potatoes.
Huh, I didn't know that. But the potatoes do kind of stick out from the rest of the snow they made from the ice. Though it does actually work.
Don't bother with the snow day, it's phony baloney.
Until Cranky comes in to ruin the fun. So instead of a snow day, they get detention.
Yeah, however, the time is going to come back into play. Now, remember they only had 30 minutes from the time they woke up to get all that put together in time for the hopeful cancellation of school. Okay, I can buy cartoon logic for them being able to do that in that short amount of time, but how long has it actually been?
Pinkie, what have we been doing for the past 2 hours?
The timing is just really off here.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a cancellation. That would be an early dismissal. Of course, then again, we had Rainbow Dash mention spring break and backstage pass, and then we're back here at winter break and Chris. And just, what is time in this world?
Not to mention, to me, it's pretty heavily implied that they're trying to get to school and fake the snow day so the entire day is canceled before it starts. So, if they only get there with half an hour to spare, how did no other faculty members, custodians, or early bird students run into them as they were pulling off their phony baloney stunt? I think this could have been avoided entirely if the girls had woken up at like 6 AM instead of 8 AM to give them more of a cushion to pull this off and to avoid being seen by other members of the faculty.
Yeah. Of course, I'm sure none of the other students would have said anything because they probably want to get out of school too. And while we're pointing things out, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't be allowed to talk to each other during the test.
God, the teachers I had who loved to enforce that rule. However, dismissing the sloppy writing for the time, Rainbow admitting that this was her entire plan all along is honestly pretty clever writing for her character. It's a good way of showing that pawing through books can only help so much, and that cramming and trying to pull an all-nighter for studying really doesn't help anyone. Plus, it's a nice subtle illustration that the girls work so well as a team that they can continue to learn from one another and perhaps not even realize it. Additionally, it's also a good example of how the writers can slip in differences between the Equestria Girls characters and their pony counterparts. Remember, Rainbow Dash didn't realize how much information she could glean while flying until Twilight and her friends showed her in testing 1, 2, 3. Here, Rainbow was clever enough to see the potential in helping herself and her friends study for a test on the water cycle.
I'm pretty sure she's just trying to save face after they all got caught.
Oh, no doubt. But think about it. They did get a hands-on lesson on how the water cycle works, so either way, if their plan for the snow day worked, they got an extra day to study, plus having the 2 hours of hands-on learning. However, they got caught, but their little hands-on lessons still helped them learn without thinking too much about it. Sure, I do think she was saving face, but I also think she was looking at the positives of it.
That's true. And hands-on learning really is the best way to learn things.
At least for me it is. Also, how much you want to bet Celestia and Luna made the girls stay long after school to clean up their little stunt?
Oh, definitely. Speaking of things taking time, we jump into our next short with Pinkie Pie counting down the time till her souffle is done in a very unique way.
Fluttershy, Gloriosa Daisy, Juniper Montage, Lily Pad, Lila Heartstrings.
Well, that helps make the waiting for the food to be done not boring. Anyway, one of the things I really enjoy about this short in particular is how simple the premise is and how clearly the stakes for Pinkie are set up right at the beginning.
Yeah, but that does bring up an issue I want to talk about at the end. Right now, I do love how in Pinkie's explanation animation, she, Rarity, and Sunset are all in their original outfits. Well, Sunset's second outfit, but you get what I mean.
Yep, that was a nice touch. Even nicer was how her imagination was in the exact same art style that it was when she was trying to help Rarity come up with a music video premise and dance magic. I just like how cutesy and kidsy her mind is.
Oh, I am convinced that is how she sees the world all the time. Now, speaking of outfits, can we just appreciate how Sunset finds a way to look badass in every single outfit she has, even her winter clothes? It's just a character trait I appreciate they let her keep.
Oh, hell yeah. Too bad Pinkie has to try and cover it up with a reference to A Christmas Story. At least we get this hilarious Sunset face when Pinkie pulls out the gloves.
Oh, she pulls some great faces. She also has the ability to get Pinkie back on track, because they gotta get that souffle to Rarity quick. Time is of the essence. Unfortunately, war were declared.
Man, I just love how Pinkie's determination and hope slowly drain from her eyes when they open the front door to find a massive neighborhood snowball fight taking place in her own yard. However, what I truly love about this snowball fight twist is just how serious the participants take it.
To the point where they do a Saving Private Ryan parody.
See my other boot? I can't find my boot. Got it.
I swear the stuff they get away with this series is crazy. I love it!
Oh, me too. And just look at how insane Granny Smith is taking it. And then you have Photo Finish shoving a dog out of its own doghouse to use it as a shelter.
And how about the snow boulder AJ was going to throw at Sunset? These kids do not mess around.
Where were these kinds of snowball wars when I was a kid? Anyway, I love Sunset's determination to help Pinkie get the souffle to Rarity after Pinkie dejectedly gives up. This right here is why I love Sunset's character so much. However, I'm shocked AJ had the gall to insult Sunset's love of video games, even with that massive snow boulder in her hands.
Well, Sunset quickly showed her why she shouldn't do that.
You just can't stop Sunset from being a badass.
Damn right. I love how she calls Flash to her, too.
And he provides some good cover fire and acts like a sort of shield for Sunset and Pinkie. I do like how eager he is to be helpful for the girls.
Shame that he immediately messes that up.
Well, that was embarrassing.
Well, you tried, Flash. You really did.
Well, any help is good help, I suppose. Still, damn, Sunset got absolutely clobbered. I hope there wasn't any ice in that snow that got in her eye.
Probably heard her more fun on that ancient key ring she has. Seriously, why does she have a Dungeon Keeper's key ring? Get with the times, girl!
Sunset does live in what appears to be a shop converted into a loft, and she rides a motorcycle, so she probably doesn't even have regular house or car keys.
I suppose so. Still, at least her sacrifice wasn't in vain, as Pinkie was able to get her souffle to Rarity just in time this year.
Luckily, Rarity got to her instead. And no, I'm not implying it's contrived. I think Rarity just assumed this year that trying to get to Pinkie instead would help keep the souffle inflated and delicious.
Which brings up my problem with this short. If this has been going on for a couple of years now, then why didn't Rarity go to Pinkie's house while the souffle was cooking? I swear, sometimes these girls just bring problems upon themselves.
I think it ties into why Pinkie was making it in the first place. Rarity worked so hard to be sophisticated and elegant, and she wanted to work just as hard to make something that matched Rarity's elegant nature, and put in more work to get it to her. However, you're right, it really would make more sense to have Rarity over at Pinkie's house from the beginning. But we at least got this ending gag with Rainbow.
Oh, no fair! I spent 2 days as a snowman for that!
Where did she go to the bathroom in all that time?
You know what they say about yellow snow, and that bottom snowball for the snowman was pretty big.
Well, now I regret asking. So, how about we move on to the next short? One that probably should have been put first, given where it's supposed to take place within the year.
Actually, I have to start out the next short with a question. If this is a short that takes place in a special called Holidays Unwrapped, and the other shorts take place during the holidays, where is all the snow?
That's what I'm saying. This short looks like it takes place around early fall, maybe around Halloween, so it should have been the first one so we keep the timeline somewhat straight.
Right, because it really throws things off to have one short take place right at the beginning of winter, and then one that takes place when winter is in full swing. Heck, even their trees have nary a yellow leaf on their branches.
Space is warped and time is bendable.
Apparently. Also, there's a small error I spotted when AJ goes into a flashback montage of all the times the Flim Flam brothers snookered the Apple family.
You mean the fact she knew the Flim Flam brothers even before the short where we saw where she met them? Granny Smith couldn't even remember their names. I'm pretty sure I'd remember the name of my archenemy.
Well, that, and in all of the flashbacks, the animators put AJ's pendant around her neck even though she hasn't had it for very long. And remember, AJ refers to each incident as 1 year, so the animators definitely messed that up.
Huh. Didn't notice that. Well, that's completely on them.
Anyway, with that out of the way, I do have to say I still really enjoy this short. I love seeing SciTwi and AJ get some screen time together and flesh out their friendship, with SciTwi helping to get back at the Flim Flam brothers for the Apple family.
They do have a good chemistry together. Even if AJ is wrong about bow ties and bolo ties. Bow ties are totally cool.
Also, I love just how much fun SciTwi has taking part in this. I just adore how the sweet, modest, and rule-following SciTwi is so eager to use her scientific skills and mind to swindle someone.
Well, they are jerks, and there's nothing more fun than swindling jerks.
Indeed, and we're then treated to a montage of SciTwi helping set up her big scheme, which includes a pretty good gag of Apple Bloom struggling with a Jack-in-the-Box net launcher.
And apparently SciTwi is really enjoying watching Big Mac dig that hole. You know, between this and her everything with Sunset, I don't think it's a coincidence that her hair color is the same colors as the Buy Pride flag.
Also, I'm curious why Big Mac has to be blindfolded for that. AJ is still in the backyard as far as we can tell as her brother digs the hole, so what's up with the blindfold?
I don't know. I'm not sure I want to know.
Maybe it was a small experiment to see if someone could dig a perfect hole while blind? I could see SciTwi slipping something like that in at random times.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Next, it appears that the plan is all set to go, but something seems off as Apple Bloom points out.
Nobody's talking. They're just standing around.
However, as SciTwi assures AJ that her plan is triple-checked and pretty much foolproof, it's obvious as hell that the guests are clearly cardboard cutouts. Are the writers trying to imply Apple Bloom is stupid? Why?
I didn't get that either. In fact, jumping ahead just a bit, it seems like all of the Apple family are surprised by this reveal. But didn't they help set all of this up? How could they not tell? What is going on this farm?
I don't know, and as someone who adores the Apple family and their values, I feel kind of insulted. Regardless, Flim and Flam show up to offer a genuine diamond, for a jug of apple cider. As they pull away, the Apple family celebrates and AJ opens up the chest to find it completely empty.
I am shocked. Shocked! Well, not that shocked.
At which point, SciTwi goes into a big exposition dump about how her plan and showing off she needs to be very careful with how she moves in that skirt. But then the Flim Flam brothers show back up to show her plan was a bust.
Nobody outsmarts the Flim Flam brothers. Oh, thanks for the cider.
Or was it? Because SciTwi does her best big anime villain expression to make another reveal.
You mean the whole wide eyes thing?
Yes, it's a classic anime trope and it was great to see here.
Honestly, when she bowed her head and a glare covered her lenses, I was hoping she would go into a mad scientist laugh before revealing that the party never got started and that the clocks are off by 20 minutes.
Which, again, makes the Apple's surprise at the standees even more confusing. But anyway, I do like SciTwi's double, triple twist? I don't know, it's a lot to keep track of, but I know I like it.
Though, something else that doesn't make sense, if SciTwi set the clocks to be 20 minutes off so the apples would be thrown off about the party, then how did the Flim Flam brothers manage to show up early instead of at the usual time?
Because shut up.
Alright. I agree though that the convoluted nature of SciTwi's plan is so ridiculous that it's genius, but I still love Granny Smith going crazy and shouting at Flim and Flam's car as she celebrates finally getting the better of them. I can hardly even tell what she's saying.
I believe she's supposed to be shouting, "You're the surprise ones!" Which I also wonder if they heard since they're driving away. Anyway, this brings us to the next short, which starts off with Pinkie enjoying a nice, warm glass of hot chocolate, which is always a good treat in the winter.
And we arrive at possibly my favorite short of the entire special. I can tell you that I friggin' love Saito'S jokey personality.
I've been paying monthly and I never use it.
What is it, a gym membership?
However, I also hate it. Why? Because this is the first time we get this personality added to her character, but in the last thing ever produced for EQG? Talk about a tease.
I know! We were robbed! Robbed! But you could also look at this as the positive effects the girls have had on her over time. I mean, she went from a nervous wallflower who looked like she would cry at any minute when we first met her, to a lovable, jokey nerd who's not afraid to tell her cheesy jokes, even if her friends don't laugh at them.
That is a good point. I just wanted more of it. Ahem. The girls then sort of play hot potato with the key to Sunset's storage locker, trying to figure out who gave the key to whom and when. This leads to Sunset concluding that she was in possession of the key, but she forgot it in her school locker and school is closed for winter break. I love that slow realization from her of where the key is, and I can't tell you how many times I've gone through that when I found out I lost a key.
I'm curious to know how long she's had that storage locker. And why? From the sounds of it, she doesn't really keep anything in there other than the toys for this toy drive. And you know, if they really need to get some toys for it, they just go a few hours over and see Super Gabby. I'm sure he's got something for him.
Well, she did say she doesn't use it and pays monthly to keep it, so she hasn't used it for anything from what I can gather. I can only assume she got it, thinking she'll need it eventually for something, but nothing ever came up for her to use it until now.
I suppose? Anyway, when they go to the school to try to get the keys from Sunset Lockers, they actually find the school is locked. Which leads to the gimmick of this short, and that it's just different ways the girls can think of to how to try to break into the school and get the keys. And somehow I'm not surprised that Sunset's involves being the super spy.
Right, but to backtrack a little bit, the reality of school being closed for winter break gives us my absolute favorite joke in the entire special.
Without the key, there's no toys. And that means those adorable children at the Toys for Kids Festival are going to open empty boxes. Ugh, that's worse than clothes. Excuse me?
God, Rarity's insulted reaction was pure gold, and I love how Pinkie and SciTwi exchange worried glances like they're afraid Rarity may murder Rainbow for saying that.
Honestly, I wouldn't put it past her. That girl is very serious about her fashion.
Indeed. Next, Pinkie offers up a plan that involves baking 24 cupcakes and using them to lure Principal Celestia out of the school so the girls can sneak in through the open door.
Which SciTwi immediately shoots down.
And I don't think a licorice lasso is a real thing.
It could be.
And once again, this is trespassing.
In fact, I kind of love that that's her whole point in this short. It does make me wonder if their line about imitatable acts during Sunset's idea was a shot at standards and practices who usually have notes about that thing. I mean, it's not the first time the show's done something like that.
I also just love SciTwi's snarky, when she asks Pinkie how the timing would work out against the start time of the Toys for Tots festival. But I like how both Pinkie's plan and Sunset's plan were an indication of how differently each girl thinks. Sunset just overthought everything about something as simple as getting a key from her own locker. Seeing how intricately she thinks about all of the details shows how cunning she is. I know Sparkle's 7 really tackled the Ocean's 11 parody incredibly well, but it's just funny how Sunset treats it like they're stealing the key to open a safe full of millions of dollars. In contrast, Pinkie's plan is much simpler. Just distract Principal Celestia with cupcakes while they sneak in. Easy peasy. The hardest part would just be waiting for the cupcakes to bake. She has the right idea of getting inside the building, just in a much less complicated way that doesn't involve hacking.
Of course, Applejack has the best plan because it finally involves the girls using their powers. I'm not sure how that would help exactly, but I like where her head's at. Plus, it looks badass.
I love the fact that there is actually no plan from AJ. She just wants an excuse to power up, and she saw this as an opportunity. There's also a nice little de-evolution going on. Sunset has the highly complex plan, Pinkie has the much simpler plan, and AJ has no plan at all. I just find that hilarious.
And of course, SciTwi has the simplest plan of all. The one that actually works. Just call Principal Celestia and have her let them in. And, you know, it makes total sense that SciTwi would be such a teacher's pet, she would have the principal's number, but it's also a great callback to Pony Twilight and her dynamic with Celestia.
Another thing I like about it is how it's a good illustration of SciTwi's character development. Remember in Friendship Games how uncomfortable and almost afraid she was of being called to Principal Cinch's office? Here, she not only calls Principal Celestia for help, but she appears to have her office number on speed dial. If that isn't a great example of how much a positive influence her friends have had on her, I don't know what is.
Also helps that Celestia isn't a huge bitch.
Oh, absolutely. However, do you want to know my favorite part about SciTwi's plan?
What's that?
The funny contrast of how in the previous short she came up with an elaborate triple-cross plan to get back at the Flim Flam brothers, but here she comes up with the simplest plan of just calling someone to get inside a building.
That is pretty funny. Nice.
Yep. And now we move on to the second to last short, which involves last-minute shopping.
Something we've all had the displeasure of having to experience once in our lives. But I do appreciate the cameo from my gal Juniper there in the pan around the mall, and Lyra and Bonbon being cute in the background.
And we get Rainbow Dash admitting that running on ice is a bad idea.
I learned the hard way that high velocity and icy sidewalks don't mix well.
Points for the safety lesson, I guess? Anyway, this ties into the main problem Rainbow faces in this short of simply forgetting things. She forgot to check her text, which led to her running and falling, and she also forgot to get Fluttershy a Secret Santa gift for Christmas.
Don't you mean the secret present switcheroo? And what is going on with SciTwi here?
Oh, remember when that was a gift that was leaked on Twitter and we tried like hell to figure out where it came from and the context behind it?
Turns out SciTwi is just incredibly materialistic.
I can honestly buy that. And I love that Rainbow's forgetfulness is practically shoved in her face when all of her friends pull out their presents.
I love her panic at trying to find Fluttershy a gift before she realizes where she was.
Oh yeah! I'm at the mall! This is where presents are born!
Then we're treated to a nice bit of her running around the mall trying to get into a store. Hey, which features cameo by Gloriosa. And, Timber. You know, kind of funny how they didn't get any updated animation models, so they're just out in their summer clothes in the dead of winter.
Maybe they were shopping for winter clothes?
Could be. Anyway, Rainbow is saved from the long lines by Zephyr, who lets her cut in line into a store from what I can only assume is a parody of Spencer's Gifts or Gadzooks, if you remember that store.
And of course, we get this glorious reaction from Rainbow.
That is the proper reaction to both him and this store. Although, I feel a little called out by one of the displays. Don't you judge me, Special! You don't know me!
We then get somewhat of a montage of Zephyr mainly trying to flirt with Rainbow, using potential gift ideas as a cover. However, it's at least not creepy like in Flutterbrudder.
It helps that it's only a minute or so instead of a whole episode. And he does eventually give her a good gift idea when he suggests that Rainbow should get Fluttershy an instant camera so she can take nature pics. Which honestly threw me at first, because I didn't think they still made instant cameras.
I know, I was shocked too, especially with how prevalent smartphone cameras are. Regardless of that anomaly, I really enjoyed how Zephyr finally took the hint thanks to a pretty good smack upside the head and actually came out with some really solid advice.
Get someone something they'd never get themselves. Trust me.
Basically, don't do the obvious and, say, have Rainbow get Fluttershy a stuffed animal because that's totally something she would get herself.
It is surprisingly good advice, especially coming from him.
Indeed, that's why I was so surprised by it. Rainbow accepts both Zephyr's advice and the gift, speeding back towards her friends in the food court, and I love how she attempts to bullshit them, trying to play it off as if she never left. Though to be fair, she still wraps presents way better than I do.
Yeah, that's about as well as I do. But speaking of the gifts, we get a few snapshots of what the girls gave each other, and I love the callbacks in it. Especially Sunset giving SciTwi the parakeet from Roller Coaster of Friendship.
Are we sure it's the same one, or did SciTwi give Sunset the original one, and Sunset won another one for SciTwi?
I like to think it's the same one. It's just more touching that way. Plus, I love Sunset's reaction to the gift Pinkie gave her. That is the expression of someone trying not to seem as disappointed they are in that gift. We've all been there, Sunset.
Also, it looks like Fluttershy gave AJ Fix-It Felix Jr.'s hammer from Wreck-It Ralph. Sweet.
At least it saves her from having to make her own this time.
And it was nice to see some more aspects of Rarity being a fan of the noir genre by SciTwi gifting her what appears to be a crime novel. That's pretty cool.
Like I said, a lot of nice callbacks there. But time for us to move on to the last short and the last bit of Equestria Girls media. I'm not sure I'm ready for this!
I'll take the plunge for the both of us. I think this short was put out of order because all of a sudden the girls are back in school. Yet the past two shorts dealt with them getting presents for the Toys for Tots festival and exchanging presents at the mall while they were on winter break, hence why the school was closed. Did anyone on the editing staff check that before choosing which slots each short went in?
Honestly, that seems like a pretty appropriate way to go out, since we've had at least 2 summer breaks before we even got to this special. Like I said, space is warped and time is bendable.
God, even Doc Brown couldn't figure out this timeline.
What makes it even more confusing is there's clearly snow on the ground, and the kids are giving each other Christmas cards, but AJ's family pics look like something you'd do in early fall, probably around the time they're doing their Cider Fest.
Anyway, yes, I think this takes place on the final day before winter break begins since all of the students are exchanging Christmas cards to one another. Plus, Octoscratch shippers are throwing a little bone and bulk biceps and derpy are a thing? When did this happen?
We may never know. But they do look cute together. Although I guess this kind of burst my own personal headcanon of Ditzy being into Flash. That poor guy just can't catch a break. Yeah, well, I guess he and Sunny Flare can get together and go exist somewhere.
I have to admit they do look adorable together. But AJ comes running up to her friends, asking if they'd like to take part in a new tradition. And we get another bit of snarky SciTwi when she tries to correct AJ's words.
Technically, it's not a tradition if it's new.
How do y'all feel about starting a holiday tradition?
Sounds cool.
I'm in.
Ooh, fabulous. Words matter, people.
Again, why wait until now to give us this gold?
I don't know, but I've used that clip way too much on Twitter.
And apparently Applejack believes in ghosts. She tries to explain how ghosts are invisible to SciTwi, and that tells me she didn't do the ghost photo with her family just for fun.
Also, she's completely wrong about ghosts. You can totally see them in videos and pictures. There's like 1,000 YouTube channels about that. But anyway, the tradition she wants to start is getting pictures with her friends as well as her families. But the rest of them are a little nervous about being gussied up because, well, you saw the pictures, right?
Yeah, they weren't bad at all. However, I love how Rarity acts like someone who got a gift they didn't really want and plays it off, but oh my god, Sunset trying to bullshit her way out of it was hilarious.
Yeah, that was great. Plus, I love the reaction to SciTwi offering to do the costumes.
I could design it. No! Remember when you made us be the quadratic equation for Halloween? I could barely function. Wait, was that a math pun? Ugh, you're ruining me!
Ah, don't be such a square.
And just like that, I've added her to the Sunlight ship. Plus, I love Sunset's expressions in the background there. And they mentioned Halloween, so we're clearly dealing with human holidays.
And another great snarky SciTwi bit. Too bad it's the last one ever. Anyway, after AJ explains that she wants the photo to be a cornucopia theme, Rarity offers to take the lead on wardrobe. AJ then leaves to get the shoot set up, and I love how Rarity just cannot pronounce cornucopia no matter how hard she tries. Heck, Rainbow Dash being able to pronounce it makes the joke even funnier.
And her just not understanding what one is. Come on, even Ron Stoppable understood that. No, and I'll be playing a clip of that. Go do your own research for once. Get some culture, people!
But I can guarantee that I will make us the most fabulous version of that thing I can. Really?
Wow, several really great jokes in a row. I hope the short can keep that up.
Spoiler alert, it can't. At least there's still some great ones like Sunset trying to get her way out of the picture.
But my dentist, doctor, dermatologist, podiatrist, and guitar teacher are all booked.
You have a podiatrist?
Holy crap, the lengths she's going through to get out of this picture. I mean, yeah, it's a little odd for her to do so considering how much she loves her friends, but SciTwi ignoring that and focusing on the fact that she has a podiatrist is hilarious.
That's a valid question, though. Why does she have one?
Maybe Sunset just takes her body's health that seriously? But at least Rarity gets Sunset back on the right track.
We're gonna look silly.
Yes, Sunset. Yes, we are. As Applejack's friends, it's the least we can do.
And she's right, because despite her best efforts, they all look utterly ridiculous. At least Fluttershy likes her costume.
I like my outfit. I'm a bunch of grapes.
So, now that they have their embarrassing costumes on, they have to try to make it from the theater room all the way to the gym without being seen by their peers. Don't know why they couldn't have just put the outfits on in the locker room when they got to the gym, but, well, there you go.
Yep, and this is where the short completely falls apart. All of the girls, minus Fluttershy, are none too happy about how the costumes make them look, so why risk being seen when they can just carry the costumes to the auditorium?
Can't say I blame them. You know, for all her fashion skills, you'd think Rarity'd make these costumes so they could actually walk in them.
And that's a bit of a contrivance that irks me. I don't like it when characters who are exceptionally skilled at something are forced to tone down their skills for the sake of a joke. Unless it makes sense like in Suited for Success where the terrible outfits were the point of the joke and how Rarity shouldn't have allowed her friends to take over the designs.
And that's why this is the weakest of the shorts. It's based around embarrassment comedy. I would call it cringe comedy, but the internet has kind of ruined that term. Either way, the joke here is that we're supposed to laugh at the girls' misfortunes. But that really only works for characters we don't like. We do like the girls, so we don't like seeing them getting embarrassed.
Exactly. But there is something that makes the short even worse.
What's that?
What AJ says after she sees her friends making jackasses of themselves in the auditorium.
Granny Smith is the one that made us dress up. Should have known when you said wardrobe.
She had an opportunity to correct all of her friends and explain what she actually meant. The only reason she didn't is because then there'd be no story to tell. The girls would never have gone to the drama department, and AJ's friends never would have had to suffer any humiliation. It's a massive plot contrivance that honestly ruins the entire short for me. I still like the jokes in the beginning, but the actual story is ruined, at least for me.
Yeah, that is just some bad storytelling there. At least Rarity gets some measure of revenge by forcing Applejack to wear her own apple-themed costume. Obviously. And while it is disappointing that this is how the Equestria Girls saga ends, I do like the roll call and them wishing us a happy holiday. It's not a perfect ending, but it's a heartwarming one, and that just seems fitting for this franchise.
Well, I guess then it makes sense why the short is the last one, considering that Happy Holidays message and the roll call at the end. But anyway, that's a wrap on Holidays Unwrapped. Overall, I thought it was a pretty solid entry in the EQG catalog. Even with the weak ending to the special, I thought the other shorts at least had some great humor to offer. Which short was your favorite, Blackbird?
Oh, it had to be the heist one. I just love seeing all the crazy plans the girls came up with. It's just pure fun, and that's really all the special needed to be. And like I said, it's obvious they didn't mean for this to be the end of the Equestria Girls franchise, but it still works as an ending, even if it's a bittersweet one.
Yeah, I'd have to go with the heist short as well. It wasn't just one of the best written of the shorts, but it was easily the funniest of the entire special. SciTwi's snarky, joking personality and her savagely criticizing Sunset and Pinkie's ideas were the definite highlights. Not to mention, Rainbow dancing with Death when she insulted the idea of clothes as a Christmas gift. And you know, even though most of the shorts had their problems, I can forgive quite a few of them because they were either still fun to watch or pretty heartwarming. The final short not included, of course.
Well, be that as it may, this is the end of an era. What started out as a mild curiosity on a website turned into quite a grand, spirited adventure.
Indeed. There were a few bumps along the way, but overall I enjoyed what Equestria Girls did, especially turning heads in the fandom with how fantastic Sunset's character development was from the first film. I still love walking through conventions and hearing dozens of attendees singing songs from the franchise, like My Past Is Not Today.
Ooh, yeah, good times. All the cosplayers were amazing too. And to think, people thought that Equestria Girls would be a one and done and that no one would ever think of Sunset Shimmer ever again. Boy, they were wrong about that one, weren't they? Really, that kind of fits G4 as a whole. It just became this thing that unexpectedly became a cultural milestone, and I'm curious to see what G5 have. I hope they can match even just a half of that.
Here's hoping. Even though this wasn't planned to be the finale, it's still a high note to end on.
Indeed. Speaking of endings, we should probably wrap this one up. Hey, it was fun working with you again, Lefty, and being a pony again. But it's back to live action for me. I mean, I was reviewing the original DuckTales series, wasn't I? I should probably get back to that. It's been like 6 months, good lord.
Yeah, and I've got my G5 movie script to finish. This has been MrLeftTurn.
And Blackbird.
We'll see y'all next time. Have a safe and happy holidays out there.
Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. And since we've no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.